Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you did your first assignment really well and you asked your teacher if you had any questions, if you needed additional help. The next lesson we're going to go into is subtracting polynomials. I know we did a little bit of subtraction in the last lesson. We're going to be dealing with just subtracting polynomials in these next few examples. So let's start. So this next one is, let me just read it off. It's 2x squared plus 6 minus, now the parentheses is going to be important in these next few examples, parentheses 4x squared minus 5x. Now we're going to go over actually just what this parentheses means and maybe going over a little bit of Algebra 1, that distributive property that we learned. There is a negative outside. See? And we're going to distribute that negative, what's inside, as if it was a 1 there. See how I did that? So we're going to distribute. So let's just go over our integer rules really quick, just in case that's an issue for anyone. Yes, I will be able to write. Okay. So I used to teach middle school. I'm going to use a little bit something that I used with my middle school students. It's called the multi-DV man, a little slanted. So there is his eyes and his mouth. So you'll notice that his eyes are actually negatives and his mouth is kind of a positive. And here we go. So I have a -1. Let's circle the negative. I have a positive 4. So I'm going to circle that. And what do I have left over though? It's not circled. You guessed it, a negative. So that's 1 times 4, which is 4. And that's going to be a -4x squared. Let's do the same thing, a -1 times a -5x. All right, so a negative and a negative, positive. A -1 times a -5. That's going to be, okay, what's not circled? Positive. So I'm going to have a positive answer. 1 times 5 is, you guessed it, 5x. So now that I have distributed, now I can actually do what I did in the last lesson, which is to group the like terms together. So let's start with these x squareds that I see here. All right, so that's 2x squared and this -4x squared will go together. Cross those out. I'm already done with those. And now I have a 5x. There's no other things that have x's other than this, so 5x. There's my plus 6. All right, now I'm going to group these together. So I have 2 positives and 4 negatives. Those cancel out. Whoops. I'm left with, you guessed it, 2 negative x squareds. It doesn't have anything to be grouped with, so it just comes out to be 5x. This has nothing to be grouped with, so it's going to end up just being positive 6. All right. Let's try the next example. A to the 4th minus 2a minus parentheses, there's a parentheses again, 3a to the 4th minus 3a. So we're going to, again, distribute. So negative out there, we're going to distribute to what's inside. Let's try that. So -1 times 3. You don't have to do this for every single one, but I'm just going to do these for the first couple. So I have a -1 times a positive 3, a -1 times a positive 3. What's not circled? You guessed it, that negative, so that's 1 times 3. It's going to be a -3a to the 4th. All right, let's try negative times a -3a. All right, so a negative times another negative, so I'm multiplying this negative and that negative together, and I'll get, you guessed it, a positive. 1 times 3 is a 3, so positive 3a. Now I can group things together. Again, I'm going to start with the highest degree. All right, that's a to the 4th. They'll go together. That a to the 4th, that's done. -3a to the 4th, that's done. And these a's are going to go together. That's negative 2a, positive 3a. Again, I'm going to do, I have a positive a to the fourth and 3 negative a to the fourths. That cancels out. I have now left over, you guessed it, negative 2a to the fourth. Let me do the same thing. 2 negatives, 3 positives. That's going to leave me with, you guessed it, positive 1a. Again, you can leave that with or without the a. So you can see you can leave it like that or with it. Either one is fine. All right, so let's continue to distribute. I'm going to distribute the positive to what's inside. I'm sorry about that. I should have gone over here. Thank you. A negative times a positive. So this will be the last one I do this multi-DV-man for. A negative times a positive. That's going to be a negative 1x squared. I have a negative times a negative. That negative times a negative. I'll get a positive 1 times 4 is positive 4. Now let me again start grouping things together. I'll start with the ones that have the highest degree. Squareds have the highest degree. So that's 3x squared, negative 1x squared. I only have a negative 2x, and that's going to be there. And then I have a positive 8 and a positive 4. So those will go together. Again, 3x squared, take away 1x squared. 2x squared, this doesn't have anything to be grouped together, so it just comes out to be negative 2x, and 8 plus 4, 12. Okay. On the next one, I won't be doing any of these multi-DV-mans anymore. I'll be allowing you guys to go ahead and group these together, but why don't you try this next one. Pause right here and try this next one. You try it? All right, I'm trusting you. Let's see, let's distribute. Again, I'm sorry about that arrow overreaching. That'll be a negative 1 to the 1z cubed, positive 5. Put these things in order. Okay, I'm going to start with the z to the thirds. There's that. That'll go together. I have a negative 2z, stand alone, positive 5. 11, take away 1. If you want to draw out the positives and negatives, that's great. If not, cool too. 10z to the third. Again, these two don't have anything to be grouped with, so ends up just being negative 2z plus 5. Again, with this next one, why don't you again pause and try this one out. All right, hopefully you paused, you tried it out, and hopefully you get this one right. So again, let's distribute first. You always want to just distribute, get it over with. I'm sorry about the arrows not going to this guy too, so I'm just going to draw him in. And notice how everything's just going to change. So whatever sign it was inside, it's just going to change the opposite. So all of these were positive. Now they're all going to become negatives. Also a quick little way to distribute without doing your multi-DV-mans. All right, so let's group things together. Let's group the x squareds together first. Making it rain. All right, let's try the x's together. And the ones. A lot of students say, well, wait, why are these going to group together? That's a positive and a negative. We're just grouping together. Remember, variables that have the same degree, just a variable, and then just numbers, regardless if they're negative or positive. Let's work this out. 4 negatives, right? 2 positives. That zeroes out. We're left with 1, 2. negative 2x squared. This one doesn't have anything to be grouped with. And that just zeroes out. So our response is negative 2x squared minus x. Try this one out, even if it's, so it's find the difference. Students have difficulty when they're like, find the difference. Wait, what do I do? So there's two polynomials you have here. This is the one you're going to be distributing that negative to, because it's just, it comes second. So let's do that first. Distribute that negative. I know it's got decimals. You can use your calculator if you want, but distribute that negative. 8.1 was a positive. Now it's going to become a negative. That 0.14 was a negative. Now it's going to become a positive. Group things together. The x squareds will go together. The x's, there's only one of them, just this one. Go there, and there's only a number, albeit a decimal number, still a number. If you want to work out this, there's negatives. You can go ahead and punch that in your calculator if you want. That should be a negative 0.86x squared, negative 2.1x plus 0.45. I realized I didn't pause in this one, so hopefully you did that. I'm going to pause here. This last one, by the way, that should be your answer. Last one, go ahead and try that one on your own. Pausing. All right, try this. All right, hopefully you got the response correct. We're going to distribute that negative. Right. Again, sorry about that arrow overreaching. All right, so now let's group together our x squareds. There's only one of them. I'm sorry, our y squareds. There's only one of them. So you're going to be alone. Sorry. Let's deal with just y's. Again, there's only one of them. And numbers. So our response should be 6y squared, 10y, and you guessed it, negative 3. All right. Pause and try this one out. All right, notice how there's a little bit of a difference. There's finding the sum. So there's no need for me to put a negative in here. Sum, remember, means adding. So just wanted you to know difference means subtracting, whereas adding does not. So hopefully you got this right. Hopefully you were paying attention to the wording. And you got that grouping, and you got this response. Oh, again, sorry about that. 21.7y squared, positive 6y, negative 3. All right, again, if you have any questions, please just ask your math teacher. Hopefully this was enough instruction for you to be able to do your next homework assignment. All right, as always, happy math problem solving.